Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system, fill your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house or in your job parking lot before you clocking. They don't wanna miss a second of this HT content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn your back and tell you sorry, try again, Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. To all the awesome dads again and again and again. Shout out to you guys. It was your day this weekend. It was your weekend. So I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful, happy Father's Day weekend. And I hope you got a chance to spend time with your children, your loved ones, your family, have somebody throw you a little steak on the grill or something like that. Buy your little clothes, some new tank tops, some new socks, some new boxes. You know how we do for the dads. But I hope you guys had a wonderful day too, a wonderful start to your week. It is Monday, and we are back with another Diddy update. And y'all, this is how I imagine Diddy is looking at the judge during his trial. Like, come on, Judge, you ain't gonna believe all this shit. I know you don't believe all this shit, Judge. What's up, TC? How you doing, love? It was good having you on our panel last night, from the block to the hood table. We had a very, very interesting topics on the panel, you guys. So if y'all missed that show, basically we was discussing like the trending news about the YouTubers who, were killed on the Vegas Strip over, beefing on YouTube. And then we also discussed, a little bit of the talent show that Lemon had on his panel a few nights ago. And then we also discussed Tyler Perry show, or the Tyler Perry movie Straw. Just talking about the movie a little bit. We didn't really go all into exactly what the movie was about because I didn't want to give too many spoilers, because it was not a TV movie review. We were mainly discussing the backlash that some people is giving Tyler Perry, on their thoughts of him and how he portrays or depicts the Black woman, in his work. So yeah, please check those out. But you said what happened today, TC? I don't know. I don't go live until after I get off of work. I don't read through the transcripts. So when I get here and get live with you guys, I literally going through the transcripts with you guys. So I don't never know, besides a little here and there that might be on the blogs, that I might see or hear about, and then I'll be like, oh shoot, I can't wait to, chop it up with you guys. But the only thing that I really saw on the on social media, like on the blogs and from the news, was that the judge, they were trying to decide if they were really going to dismiss juror number 6, because from what the prosecution team was saying, he was lacking candor. And when I looked up candor to see what the hell they were talking about, is basically mean that he wasn't being truthful about, I guess, some of the things that he was saying when he was when they be asking all the jury members all the questions, where they live, what do you do, where do you work, how do you feel about this? I ain't never been on a jury, but the questions that they was asking, I guess he lied about his residence. So basically that was the only thing I saw. Now I heard that there were a lot of receipts as far as from the prosecution. They gave a lot of receipts to basically back up the RICO on the indictment. But again, I never go through the transcripts until I actually get with you guys, because I just like to, go through it. It's a lot of transcripts. I ain't reading through all that shit and then coming back on here and reading through all that shit again. But yeah. So I like to read through it while I'm talking to you guys, while I'm chopping it up with you guys. Then we can talk back and forth about our thoughts on it. So always feel free to drop down and get your eagle on in the chat if you got something to say about the anything that I say, or the transcripts, or your own thoughts, or things like that. And also, please make sure you guys like and share the video, please and thank you. And subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new here, please and thank you. And of course, if you want to donate to the commentary, the Cash App is $ the Hood Table 402. Or you can hit the super chat. What's up, Sugar Mama? How you doing? Side-eyed all of you said I'm ready for the recap. You said YouTube make YouTube worthwhile. Oh, that's so sweet. Wait till I tell Riggs what you said. That is so sweet. But I appreciate you. I really do love. I appreciate everyone who continually supports, Rig and I, no matter what type of content that we're doing, even if it's not always geared towards the beef sector, but or any other sector for that matter. But I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. But yeah, so as far as that juror though, again, the prosecuting team wanted the juror thrown out, juror number 6. But the defense team did not want the juror thrown out. And we were all trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. What does candor mean and shit like that. But basically, the record raised serious concerns about the juror's candor and whether he shaded answers to get on and stay on the jury, the judge said. So they were making it seem like he lied. He outright lied about where he lived, where he resided, what county, what region, or whatever he lives in, just to stay, and I ain't gonna hold you. This is a very interesting trial. I mean, it's probably the trial of the decade, maybe trial of the century. I don't know, but depending on the outcome. But me personally, I would probably try to stay on there too. I mean, he basically said where he lived, and then I guess he moved recently, but didn't tell them that he moved. But anyway, the juror that was dismissed was a 41-year-old black man who said he lived in the Bronx. Then the debate grew about whether he actually was living where he claimed or in New Jersey, because he happened to be discussing something with one of the court staff. And he mentioned he lives in New Jersey. And I'm like, why the fuck would you tell somebody who works for the courts that you live in New Jersey? I mean, that you live in the Bronx when you really live in New Jersey. Knowing you got to be like in the same, I don't know how they do it out in New York, but ours, we go by counties and things like that. I don't know if they go by like boroughs or whatever they call them out there. But anyway, he was replaced with a 57-year-old white man from Westchester. There were initially 6 black jurors, I believe, and now 5 will remain. Yeah, there were 6 alternate jurors, and now 5 will remain. So they got 5 more backups just in case, even though this trial should be over in a couple of weeks, hopefully. But anyway, yeah, so that's the thing up with that juror. He was dismissed. Now, last week when we was talking about it, he was going around and around the mulberry bush with his reasoning for like his address or his location. It was kind of weird because the court really had to use some discretion, before dismissing him. And he has said that he recently moved to New Jersey with his girlfriend. He said it may not be permanent, but he has been there for the past few weeks. And he said that was initially. So when the jury returned to court, they asked him, well, how often are you in New York? He said 4 to 5 days a week. And we, of course, assumed that was because he has to go there, for court. But then he said in the robing room with the judge, he has a daughter who lives in New Jersey. Then he said in the Bronx with his aunt. And then in the voir dire, which is basically the thing that they interviewed a juror with, he said he lived with his girlfriend who lives in New Jersey. And they said there were some type of inconsistencies. So that's basically what it was about. He lied about where he was living. He might have lived in the Bronx, but he moved to New Jersey. Or maybe he had lived in New Jersey all along. It was too many inconsistencies. And that's why the judge was like, okay, to the prosecuting team, okay, I agree. The man even said he lived in the Bronx with his fiance and daughter. But then he said his daughter lived in New Jersey. His mother lives in New Jersey. He was just saying different things. And then he said in the colloquy that he just moved to New Jersey, adding that his daughter had been living in New Jersey. So it's kind of weird. Then he said all his bills go to the Bronx. And it was like, okay, why do all your bills go to the Bronx if you're living in New Jersey? Okay, so I don't know if y'all agree. I know people been putting up polls. I didn't put up a poll because I feel like, um, the judge is making the right decision. I I don't know a lot about the law. I don't know a lot about the jury rules, but or guidelines, but I would think that you would at least have to be truthful because when they do the court and they select the jurors, don't they want them all to be from a location of the same location, and things like that? So I don't know, child. I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. But anyway, he was replaced by somebody else, and they finally got somebody else on there. And again, he's from Westchester. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I did see something over the weekend, and I don't know if y'all saw that, but let me show y'all this real quick. Diddy, his kids, despite what he's been going through, his kids still love him, obviously. They have posted this on social media. One of his sons had posted this on social media. It was like a tribute to his father. And he basically was saying, we still love you. Happy Father's Day. I'm with you forever, no matter what. Miss and love you. Thanks for giving me life and always being present. He even called him his superhero, and that was Prince. So let me play the tribute that they gave him on social media.
Fellas in the house. And it seemed like that was all you. Like that was your vision. Last day. Let's go with a bang! Let's go! God, fellas in the
So that was nice of his children. When I was watching okay, 50 Cent, when he had made that post, the Diddy Matters post or whatever, that little video that I showed y'all, that little funny video. It's kind of like a throw off of Family Matters. But anyway, he had also, when he posted that, he said he recommend, this other TV show on Peacock. And so I was watching a TV show on Peacock, and it was about a man who was also on trial and he's a serial killer. He killed like 7 to 11 people up there in New York. And Diddy was like, I suggest this movie because it's really good. I think he played a part in producing it or something like that. So I was watching it. And one thing that I heard the child of the father say is very, very clear that he is, in fact, the person who did all those crimes to all those ladies, all those sex workers. And the daughter was like, he's still my father. I still love him. Now it's like a love-hate relationship. I still can't believe that it's him and he did all this and he took care of me. He raised me. We were so close. He did this with me. We went here. I mean, he was like a great dad. So I absolutely understand how a child could feel having somebody who they looked up to as an awesome father figure or mother figure or whatever, then kind of find out they did all these heinous crimes or, horrible crimes to people or children or females or men, or we didn't saw all these type of crimes over the years, these serial killers and things like that. So the documentary was really, really good. I do recommend that you guys check it out because I had no idea about that show. I had no idea about the man in the show. And when I started watching it, I was like, what? This man been killing people since 1993. And most recently, like 5, 6 years ago or something like that, like a whole bunch of sex workers that he has been getting rid of. And then he was doing it in the homes of his own home. Like he had this, He had this big room in his basement. Hold on. He had this big room in his basement. Let me hit mute on my TV because I'm trying to find out the name of this show because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he had this big room in his basement and it was sealed. It was like a safe or something like that. And nobody could get in there. And you know how the banks have that twisty vault type of thing where you twist it around or something? It had one of them. And anyway, every time his family would go on vacation, like sometimes the mother would go on vacation with the kids and he would claim he had to work or something like that. That's when he did the crimes. And after he did each crime, he would finish it at his house after he kidnapped the sex workers, finish them off in his house. Then he would dump them in um, a river, like not too far from his house. And so then he would drive or jump on a plane to meet up with his family. And they went through all the court records, all the phone records. I mean, just years and years of telephone records and things like that. And pings, you know how they pings the satellites and pings the cell phone towers and things like that. And every single time, the phones from the victims would ping by his house. Then they would ping together by the river. And then he would, the next day or later that evening, go meet up with his family on vacation. So I was like, and then the family was like, you mean to tell me he would do those heinous crimes, then just drive up to see us and like, hey guys, I'm here. They couldn't believe it. So yeah, I definitely see how a child can definitely feel like I still love my father. That's my father. I just can't make that go away, even though they might have did such horrible things. So, of course, P. Diddy's children feel the same way. And that's why they made that tribute on social media. Now, on the other hand, 50 Cent's son, 50 been trolling Diddy for a minute, right? 50 Cent's son, he said something pretty interesting on his IG regarding his father. He was like, "Oh, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the real ones." And he said, "I'm watching my BT and it ain't looking too good. I got the over. We all know what this day is about, photo ops. The day ain't over yet, so finish strong. Get on your job." And then people are telling him that he and 50 need to squash their beef and all this, telling him that he chose a side. Diddy used to always take care of you when you was growing up, and you happen to choose a side, which was his mother. I don't know about that, though, with kids choosing sides when they're a kid. You know what I'm saying? Because some people influence kids to choose a side. So I don't think it's always the kid's fault to be like, I ain't fucking with you because mom fucking with you. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about that. And then somebody said it might be a publicity stunt for both of the, 50 and his son. And they might be doing some shit behind in the background, like making business moves and shit like that. So I don't know. But anyway, that's some of the shit that I've been seeing trending on social media. Hey boo, hey Miss Sisler, how you doing? What up, Finesse? What up, 400? How y'all doing? Come on in, make sure y'all like and share. Thank you so much for sharing the Cash App, boo. I appreciate you, sis. But yeah, so now back to the trial. As far as like some of the recaps. Again, the judge had said on Friday that he would use the weekend to determine if he would dismiss juror number 6 or not. He did eventually dismiss them. They did remove him, and they put somebody else in his spot. But other than that, not too much happened over the weekend. This morning, before the jurors were brought in, the judge sub, which I like to call him, I nickname him Judge Sub. He said, "I hope everyone had a good weekend. The defense motion for an appeal instruction to the jury that witness Boglan committed perjury. She was questioned at length on this. I deny the defense motion." So that second mistrial that Diddy's defense tried to get, saying that Bonna and Cassie's story didn't line up. Their stories didn't match. As far as like Diddy allegedly hanging Bonna over the 17th floor balcony, and threatening her and hitting her and throwing her around and, shit like that. They was like, well, because their stories are conflicting, we want to call a mistrial. That was the second mistrial attempt. The judge said, "I denying it." So, and then again, they put out jury number 6. So, as far as today, let's see. Let me scroll on down. Okay, so they brought the jury in. The judge said, "Welcome back. The government may call its next witness." The government said first some exhibits. They entered under a seal, subject to connection. Now we call our first witness Miss Sankar. Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Hey, thank you, Sis Lo. You said no audio. Oh Lord, how far do I need to go back? What was the last thing y'all heard? I apologize. I apologize. I saw you made that comment like 2 minutes ago, and it's like, what's up, detached myself? How you doing? Oh man, I wonder how far back I gotta go since y'all said the audio went out. Hold on. You know what? Hold on 1 second. I'll figure this out. I just gotta run the replay on my cell phone. You said Diddy took my sound. Did he do it? 400. Did he do it? Okay, I figured out where I ended off. I figured out where I ended out before the sound went out. So I literally had just started with as the jury had came in when my sound had went out. So before the jury is brought in, Judge Sub said, "I hope everyone had a good weekend. The defense motion was for Nepute instructing to the jury that witness Bana committed perjury. Remember, they wanted to do the second mistrial. There was a second mistrial request from Diddy's attorneys because they said Bonna committed perjury because her story was very conflicting with Cassie's story about Bonna allegedly being held over the 17th floor balcony at a hotel by Diddy. So they threw that out. The judge said she was questioned at length, and I denied the defense's motion. So they also threw out jury number 6, and they also denied the second mistrial request. Now, the judge said last week the defense opposed further questioning of the juror. I took time to consider. The defense observes it is June 15th letter. And so basically they read the letter and why he made his decision to dismiss that juror. And then, of course, they brought another person in. So now also today, the jury entered. The judge said, welcome back. The government may call its next witness. First, the government said, some exhibits entered under the seal, subject to connection, and they called their first witness, which is Mrs. Sankar. Now, her actual name is Ananya Sankar. She is a paralegal specialist at the U.S. Attorney's Office. And so the government said, what did you do for work on this case? Sankar said 2 summary charts I was asked to verify the accuracy of. Can you describe the documents underlining these charts? 100s of pages. And who is in the messages in the charts? KK, or as we know, Christina Koram, which is also Diddy's right-hand woman, right-hand man, his closest assistant, right? That's KK. The government said, and whose cell number is this? Brendan Paul. Now, we all know that Brendan Paul, he was the one that was arrested when they had did the raid on Diddy. He was arrested and he had a whole bunch of drugs. That is the person one of the people that serves Diddy his drugs or delivers, sells, whatever you want to call it, distributes Diddy's drugs to him. So they said that's his number. And how did KK respond to Mr. Lopez about seeing the escort? Sankar said 4 laughing emojis and said, how long is he going to stay awake? The government said, and this one is from January 30th, 2023. It is an audio file. Sankar says yes. The government says, Ms. Foster, please play the first minute and 10 seconds. Now they started playing it and a female voice was heard saying, 2 things were weird. The only person who knew was you. Someone found an iPad. And Sankar said, yes. The government says, what did KK say to this? They said, KK said he's going to the Four Seasons and wants you to bring Gatorade and chicken noodle soup. The government said, read these. I'll be reading as Dave, Shirley, and you can read as KK. So Dave said, rock riding with you? KK said, no. KK said, can you run $4,000 cash from Rock to the hotel? And of course, D-Rock was, one of Diddy's bodyguards or security guards, which also delivered cash to the sex workers and for the drugs. And the government said, as Dave Shirley, sure. KK said, heads up, he's about to have a Wild King tonight. And you know the Wild King. Okay, that's just one of the names for the free calls. They go by free calls, they go by King's Night, they go by Hotel Nights, and they also go by, hey, Cosmic Girl, how you doing, love? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat, everyone. But yeah, so they also go by Wild King Night. So I take it that Diddy considers himself a king or the king of the free calls or the king of the freaks for that matter. Child, y'all let me know why y'all think he called himself a king. But anyway. So heads up, he's about to do a Wild King. Ooh, let me get a drink. Okay, so Dave then said, forgot to pick the money up. Just give it to Fahim just in case. The government says, what does the hotel write to KK, which is Diddy's right-hand woman? The hotel called and said, Paul is coming up. Does Paul appear anywhere in the chart? Yes. Now let's turn off the exhibit screen. They don't want the gallery to see what they're about to show next. And the judge says, just let me know when they are off. The government says, please read these between Jane and KK. Sankar says, as KK said, ask them if they can bring up 15 bath towels. Jane says he always brings between $5,000 and $10,000. They are expecting people to leave a presidential suite at 1 p.m. KK says we're taking off. The government says, what are these about? Sekar says they are setting up a flight for Jane. And what is this? This is the flight information from Jessica Ruiz to KK for Arthur Jr. and Paul. And these? Can you pick up the cash for Guido at Mapleton? The government says, Jane says yes. Now, let me just say real quick, for some of the people who claims that the sex workers weren't being prostituted because that's what they do. Okay, so to that, this is the legal definition of sex trafficking, because some people say prostitutes don't count because they are willing participants. So this is how sex trafficking is described. It's the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by means of the threat or the use of force or other forms of coercion, of abduction, of fraud, of deception, of the abuse of power or a position of vulnerability, or the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person for the purpose of exploitation. Exploitation should include, at a minimum, the exploitation of the prostitution of others or other forms of sexual exploitation, or forced labor, or services, slavery, or practices similar to slavery, servitude, or the removal of organs. Now that you know why they said organs, because there is organ trafficking too. And there's drug trafficking too. But yeah, so a lot of people are saying the prostitutes don't count because they were willing participants. But people also say that Jane and other people were willing participants. Cassie was willing participants. You know, other people were willing participants that he had relationships with. I mean, shit. His baby mama, rest in peace. But she was with the get down too. When they was together, she was with the good down too until she got tired of doing all those freaky dicky things with everybody. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there. So the government says, going ahead in time, could we? And then Diddy's attorney says, objection to the going ahead in time. The government says, I withdraw. Going ahead in time. So who is this between? Sankar says Diddy and KK. They said Guido hasn't dropped off the package yet. What does KK write to Sean Combs? Sankar says she writes, Guido is outside. Diddy replied with an audio message. And the government says, play it. And then you can hear Diddy's voice sounding hoarse saying, about Guido, take care of it, please. And what does KK respond? Done. Do some of these messages involve Cassie? Yes. The government turns to page 5 on May 2nd, 2017. What are these? Text messages between Cassie and KK. The attorney says Cassie as in Cassandra Ventura. Says WTF. So Cassie responded with, what the fuck? KK said, are you okay? Cassie said, no one deserves to be dragged by hair. The government says Rose 87 to 92, April 20th, 2018, Cassie and KK. Cassie said, I just can't anymore. KK said, I'm here for you, heart emoji. Cassie said, I'm bummed, but I don't want to derail. KK says, definitely don't derail. It's not worth it. The attorney says, let's turn to Jane's messages. You read Jane. Jane said, we got into a fight. I'm not doing hotel night. I'll bring him a cake. And what is the date of this filing? Sankar says November 16, 2023. And what are these? Audio files from November 19, 2023. The government says play it. So they play it. Phone is ringing. You can hear Diddy's voice. We can't really talk on this phone. You know what I'm saying? I called, I reached out. You know what I'm saying? My love is definitely true. Just some kinky shit that I thought we definitely enjoyed. So kinky shit that he enjoyed. and he wanted them to enjoy for his enjoyment. Does that sound about right? Yes, I'm going to drop the link, baby. I'm going to drop the link. Yep, I sure am. And I would love for you to come up here and jump on the panel with me, boo. So as soon as we wrap up these transcripts, I'm going to drop the link. I usually do drop the link unless I'm absolutely in a rush or something or got to go somewhere. But I'm dropping the link today, definitely for sure. So Jane says, I don't know. And her voice is cracking. She said, it's like word for word. It's like crazy to me. It feels sick. Diddy says, but like you know, then they turn off the audio. The government says, play the next one. We can hear, well, not we, they can hear Diddy's voice again. I really need your friendship right now. Don't send no text. Now, you know, this is around the time that the shit was coming out with Cassie, that the shit was hitting the fan with Cassie. That's why Diddy was talking about, I can't talk on the phone right now, you know, don't send no text, you know, things like that. Diddy goes on to say on that recorded audio, I just needed to tell you I need your friendship. Baby, I got to meet my moms. You know what I'm saying? Please pray for me. And Jane says, okay. And then they turn off the audio. The government says 3 days later, what are these? And Sankar says, KK wrote, we all know your kryptonite. What is his kryptonite? Free calls. And baby oil. So the government said that Diddy said, please make sure, Robin, make sure that rent is paid. So Diddy wanted to make sure that her rent stays paid while he's going through this situation. But because remember, he was paying her $10,000 a month to cover her rent. That was the agreement for her to continue doing these free calls, right? And then he, of course, bought her little things here and there, purses, whatever, you know, took her out to eat sometime. But other than that, you know, that's what he mainly did was a $10,000 every month. She wanted $15,000. He said, I'll give you 10. So she was only worth $10,000 to have sex 3 to 4 business days a week for up to 9 to 24 hours each time with 2 to 3 to 511 dudes each night. Only 10,000. I think prostitutes make more money than that, like real prostitutes. But anyway, I guess she didn't know no better. So anyway, the government says, and what is this? Sankar says an image found on KK's phone from December 28, 2023, a photo of a cell phone screen. It says, I lost work opportunities. And Sankar said that Jane said, Diddy's ex, you broke me. You asked me what I needed to move on, and now you're upset. The government says, who are these texts between? Jane to KK. And he said he was sending the tapes by my baby daddy. I'm traumatized. He asked me who I'm seeing over and over again. Interesting, y'all. Interesting. Now, you know, Diddy recorded every session. Every session. He was not just a voyeur, but he liked to record every session. He liked to not only rewatch the shit, but he would threaten to send the recordings to people's family. Remember, he threatened to release Cassie, one of her tapes, to the public if her parents didn't send him $20,000 and they sent the $20,000. They had to get a loan from the bank off their house. He threatened other people to send tapes, you know, other exes and sex partners he was with. And so he threatened to send her baby daddy a tape. Now we know that Jane Doe allegedly is 50's baby mama. So that means he was going to send the tapes to 50. And so she said, I'm traumatized. And he keeps asking me who I'm seeing over and over again. Child, you said they most definitely was. And so Jane said, he said he'll send the sex tapes to the father of my children. Oh, then I'm drugged. I'm beyond hurt by him. This is what Jane is telling KK, Diddy's right-hand woman, his main closest assistant. You know, she's telling KK this. Diddy's threatening to send sex tapes to my son's father. And on some of them, I'm drugged. And they said, what does KK say? KK said, I haven't spoken with him. The government said, in these photos of a cell phone, can you read them? Sankar says that Jane said, you have fucked everything up. You win. And the government says, what are these? Videos found on KK's device. All right, play it. And you hear a woman say, like $1,000. The government says, what's in this photo? Sankar says, like a long manicure nail. And what does KK write? They just chilling at the house, out to shop like King Knight mode or Gucci bag mode. King Knight, of course, is freak off. So they was out shopping for some things for the freak off. And then KK said, laugh out loud. She said, LOL. The government says, Your Honor, we could break here. And the judge says, okay. So they take a break. And while they're taking a break, I try to take a sip to keep my throat from getting dry while I'm talking. So I'm going to do that right now. That's really fucked up. What he be doing with them tapes. But then again, it's like, from what we are hearing, he usually would take the tapes out after they were drugged. So once they were drugged and they were under the influence and they having all this nasty baby oil fueled freaky sex and they drugged up and they high, that's when he would start the recordings. Some of them didn't even realize they were being recorded, and some of them didn't realize how many tapes he had of them. But to threaten to send them to your baby daddies and your mamas and release them publicly, also you can have whatever the fuck you want and have your way with them. That is, you guys, coercion. That is coercion 101. What up, Tay-Bay? How you doing, love? Welcome to the chat, you guys. Make sure y'all like and share the video. So they had a little breaky break. And then around 10:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they started back. And the government said, Mr. Sankar, what does the exhibit show? These are messages of Diddy and Damian Butler, a.k.a. D-Rock and Maya. The government says, turn off the screens to the public. So again, they turn off the screens from the public. The government says, please read D-Rock. The government attorney says, please read D-Rock messages. D-Rock said, love you, man. If you need a friend, I'm here. Diddy said, I'll call you back, talking to the kids. D-Rock said to Maya, where are you? Maya said, Virginia Beach. D-Rock texts her number to Diddy. Now, Maya to D-Rock. Maya said, I didn't have my phone. I was scuba diving. Now, y'all remember, well, some of y'all might remember, Maya had testified to this when she was on the stand. This was after this shit hit the fan with the Cassie and the Diddy video, and he was trying to reach out to certain people. He needed a friend, okay? Maya, he had been calling Maya. Remember, he kept calling Maya, blowing her damn phone up, and she wouldn't answer. And then D-Rock, because, every time he couldn't reach one of his, women or whatever you want to call them, he would send his security guards or bodyguards or KK or somebody to go find them, like a goddamn mob father or some shit, and would bring them, summon them to him. So anyway, Maya was ignoring him for the grip. I don't know if y'all remember that. Then D-Rock finally hit her up, and then Maya lied to D-Rock and said, I was scuba diving. I don't know if y'all remember that, but that shit was crazy. But then D-Rock said, we're opening up a new restaurant on the 17th. He says he doesn't want anything from you. And Maya knew that was a lie. So Maya says, super smart to stay in your bubble. He's trying to keep everybody close for this case. Diddy knew that shit was going to hit the fan. So some of the people that he thought he had a chance with, he was trying to keep them close. Because if the shit really hit the fan like he had assumed, because Diddy ain't no fool. He might have done some stupid ass shit, but he ain't no fool. He's very smart. Hell, he was a billionaire before the shit hit the fan. He's still a millionaire, but he was a billionaire. That's how much the shit costs for freak offs. Okay? So if you ever think about doing freak offs and shit like that, you can go from a billionaire to a millionaire. That's still a lot of money. But losing $600 million after going to jail, in less than a year. $600 million. So how long do y'all think he'll be able to hold on to the rest of that money if he go to jail? It's really mind blowing that you can go from six billion. You can go to $6 billion. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. You can go from $1 billion to 600 million. That's what I meant to say. So $1 billion to 600 million. And people's like, oh, he's still rich. He's still rich. But add that shit up. That's a lot of millions that he's lost in a year because of paying for lawyers and different things like that. And paying people off, paying Cassie off, paying different people off. That shit can add up. It sure can. It is. It's just mind blowing. It really is mind blowing. The capacity, the level that he went to do these free calls and to basically force people to stay in that little arrangement. To stay in that arrangement. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. He's a fucked up person. But anyway, so after that, they're still reading the text messages. And so Maya says, I am on this island off the coast of Honduras. D-Rock says, I'll love to hear about Honduras. Let me know how I can send you something. And Maya says, I never asked for anything. I remember all this when Maya was on the stand. This was Diddy trying to find out where she was. And Maya knew that at the time. She was like, I never asked you for anything. So why are you trying to send me something? And then D-Rock said, I'm allowed to send my sister a gift. And the government said, did you have any other involvement in this case? And Sankar says no. And the government says no further questions. And I'm going to take a sip. Okay, so then the judge says, do you want to cross to Diddy's attorney, Gregos? Grego says, Ms. Sankar, this message from Damian Butler, which is D-Rock, to Diddy, let's pull up the exhibit, line 363, days earlier, the legal filing. Grego says, please read Nat Moore. Nat said, the article could have been worse. They are calling it a breakup fight. That's what they were calling Cassie tape. Diddy's attorney says, let's read some messages not included in the chart. Diddy's attorney says, Jane writes, I can be dropped off at my building front desk. And KK wrote, he speaks directly with PD. I don't deal with him. Laugh out loud. Sankar says, right. Diddy's attorney says, Jane wrote to KK, pulling up to the airport, smiley face. I'm excited to surprise him. Diddy's attorney say, may I cover with the government attorney Foster? The judge says, of course. So jury, while we wait, I'm going to stand up and take a stretch. This is what the judge is saying, telling them they might as well stand up and take a stretch too. Stretch out, stretch your limbs, shake it off. Diddy's attorney says, I think we need to shut off the screens for the public and the press. November 22, 23, between Jane and KK, right? Sankar says yes. Diddy's attorney says, Jane said, I'm not doing any more hard partying. Then this one about the 3 years of wasted time. Diddy's attorney says, here is KK to Mr. Perez, asking how does he look? And Mr. Perez replied, shockingly good. Better than before, right? Sankar says yes. Diddy's attorney says nothing further. The judge calls for the next government witness. They called another special agent to question him more about the charts, about certain meetings. And the chart being showed was about meetings in the London hotel, involving Diddy and involving Cassie and Jules. Jules was one of the sex workers. Now the chart shown lists flights taken by meeting participants, which is the people meeting for the free calls, including Jules, Theodore, aka Jules, and Cassie. The government says special agent on the chart. Immediately, Diddy's attorney says objection. The judge calls for a sidebar. After the sidebar, the judge says, Mrs. Johnson, the government attorney, Mrs. Johnson, says, when you say attend, do you mean to say the people concerned appeared from records, absent a video, to have attended? The agent says yes. The government goes on. Who are the participants in this chart? The agent says Jules and Diddy. You read what Jules said. Okay, Jules said, I'm available Friday through Sunday, whatever flight works. Which one? Diddy said Friday at 4. Now, this right here, they say helps support the RICO case because it shows Diddy personally coordinating travels with Jules, pointing to hands on involvement in the operation, not just distant oversight. Now, the reason why I think they're going over these transcripts or phone text records was because so far, a lot of people have heard Cassie making arrangements, Jane making arrangements, other people making arrangements to fly or get these damn prostitutes flued out, making payments to them, setting up the hotel, different things like that. And for what we just heard, wasn't that Diddy? That was Diddy and the prostitute making plans to get him flued out. So that's what that is right there. Okay. the agent is basically saying this is confirmation. This is confirmation. Okay. Diddy was not always hands off when it came to setting up these arrangements. I'm sure that's what Diddy wanted to do, especially with the drugs and stuff. You know, you pick up the drugs, you deliver the drugs. But he was always the one where the money came from. But anywho, the government then says, where are the flights between? What you say? Extortion? Yes, extortion, coercion. Yep. You said Diddy want to make me sue him. I need $1 million. Child, I can settle for 150,000. Sure. But Diddy fucked himself in all kinds of ways. He's going to jail. Damn. You know, in that video, Menace to Society. Was that Menace to Society? You know you done fucked up, right? That big black cop, that detective looking across the way while he had them in an interrogation room. You know you done fucked up, right? When they left that damn beer bottle, that 40 ounce. Yes, damn. That's an understatement. But the government says, where are the flights from? Where are the flights between? And a special agent say LA and JFK in New York. The government says, do document retention policies impact your ability to get documents? The special agent said, yes, I could not get these records. Then they take a lunch break, and when the jury was out, the judge says, shall we address Mr. Brendan Paul now? Mr. Brendan Paul is again one of the ones that delivered drugs to Diddy. The government says better tomorrow morning. So the judge says the special agent will be on all day. And the government says even into tomorrow. Then Mr. Paul, then a final summary witness. So we got like 2 more people after the special agent. So the judge says, what witnesses would the defense be putting on Friday? Diddy's attorney, Agnifilo, said 3 witnesses, Vashta Wilson, Stephen Lynn, and a paralegal in their office. And so the government attorney says, we don't have any of those charged yet. The judge says, in terms of defense expert, I like the Dubart issues teed up. The government says, we'll work on it. Diddy's attorney Shapiro says, we'll be providing the government with a supplemental response to Dr. Hughes' actual testimony. Dr. Hughes, we done heard from, early on into the trial, about abuse, Stockholm syndrome, love bombing, trauma bonding, things like that, with dealing with Cassie and Jane. Then the judge says, Dr. Hughes actual tournament. Okay, so then Diddy's attorney Shapiro says the special agent has no personal knowledge. She is just connecting up exhibits and asking the juror to interpret them. This is not appropriate for a summary witness. It's just hotel records and flight records. So the government says Diddy and Jules Theodore were discussing being in the same place at the same damn time, the same back channel on the same back. Okay. How they said back time on the same back channel, but They said if the objection is sustained, we'll just have the special agent read in every text message. You hear that? Come on, prosecutor. Come on, Comey. I really do like Comey. I really do. Out of all the government attorneys, she said, "Oh, really? So you want to object to that? Because what the special agent is reading is hotel records and flight records, which is basically bringing it all together to the jury that Diddy did set up the travel and set up the plans and arrangements to meet up with these prostitutes." And his attorney going to say they don't have any personal knowledge. They're just putting together charts. Child, you can't make this shit up. The government said if this objection is sustained, we'll just have the special agent read in every text message. And how about you just get ready to object. Child. Now, for y'all who don't know, because I didn't know this either, but a Daubert, and it's spelled Daubert, Daubert. A Daubert challenge is a legal move to question if an expert witness's methods and opinions are scientifically valid and reliable enough to be allowed in court. If successful, the expert's testimony can be limited or excluded entirely. That's what that means. Some of these jargons, these laws, I don't know a lot of this shit. Shoot, I be Googling, looking shit up instead of sitting here guessing. That's just like with candor. I was like, what the fuck they mean the jury number 6 is lacking candor? In my mind, I was thinking maybe they were lacking transparency. I didn't know, but basically they lied. They straight out lied about where they lived. That's all it was. But anyway, at 1:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the trial restarted after a break. All rise, jury entered. The judge says, Miss Johnson, you may proceed. The government attorney Johnson says, Special Agent, have you reviewed the American Express records? I have, and this was to AMX for a flight from Miami for Cassie. And here was a charge from the London Hotel to the AMX account. And whose AMX account is this? Sean P. Diddy Puffy Comb Love, a.k.a. the baby oil man. They said it was paid with an account at Signature Bank with Sean P. Diddy Puffy Comb Love's AMX account. So basically, this shows a hotel charge tied directly to Diddy's AMX card, paid through Signature Bank, linking him financially to the activity being tracked by investigators. Rico. Go ahead, prosecutors. Child. Diddy is going to jail. Actually, he's already in jail. Let's say prison. Diddy is going to the big house. So, the attorney says, can you read this? The agent said, it's the Trump in Columbus Circle. I'm headed there now. Can you contact the front desk and get the porn channel? Hold up. I wasn't ready. Okay, let me read that again. The special agent said, it's the Trump in Columbus Circle. I'm heading there now. Can you contact the front desk and get the porn channel unlocked? The government said, what does Cassie say? She just called them. Oh, Lord Jesus. Let me tell y'all. Hold on. Let me see if I can put something on the screen for y'all. Ooh, let me see if I can put this on the screen for y'all. Now this, you know how they have somebody, they have like a court artist who basically draws pictures of different people in court. The attorneys, the people on stand, the witnesses, the defendants. This is a picture right here that the artist drew of Diddy. And if y'all look right in the middle at Diddy, they are all huddled around him, and he got his head in his hands. Now, people was like, "Ooh, this look intense." Somebody said Diddy's looking like I am fucked. Let me know what y'all think he is thinking. His head is literally in his hands. It looks like he might have been shaking his head. They are all huddled over there, discussing with each other. It doesn't look like any of them is talking to him. It looks like they're all talking to each other. And here, just sitting there like, what the fuck have I done? It's like, what the fuck have I done? Somebody said the hand to the head says it all. And yesterday was Father's Day. They say he's probably feeling pretty awful. Those reported that he walked into the courtroom this morning with his head held pretty high. Somebody said he looked like he's going through it, and he knows he messed up by being a freak. Somebody else said, are they coddling him? And then the funniest comment I saw was somebody said, like a damn Snickers commercial, you want to get away? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, they said Diddy, like, I am fucked. What did I do? Why did I want to have all this sex, all these freaky parties? Like, why didn't somebody stop me? So I just have to show y'all that picture. Y'all let me know what y'all think that means. But yeah, poor Diddy. Poor Diddy. Okay, so moving right along. The government says, who was in these communications? The agent says Cassie and the Punisher. Y'all remember the Punisher, a.k.a. Sheree Hayes. The Punisher was one of the sex workers. He called himself the Punisher because he claims that on those New York streets or where the fuck he lived, that he be punishing people on the basketball courts. But I surmise that Punisher means something entirely different. That's just me. The government said, what is this about? The special agent says the cost. And that is about the videos. The government says, turn off the screen for public and press play. The government says, we are not playing it for counsel since their screens are viewable from the gallery. So during this public lull, the agent, their name is Delisa Penland. And she also appears in, among other cases, like the U.S. versus Lorraine Shaley. I still don't know who she is, but that was just something they noted, so people know who she is, I suppose. The judge says to the government attorney, we're not seeing the video. So the attorney says, play from 10:30 to the 11-minute mark. The special agent Penland says, I want to direct your attention to line 23. I will read Diddy, and you can read Cassie. Diddy says, you horny? Would you want to have a freak off? Cassie says, call Jules. Can you send me the hotel information? About to smoke. What are you doing? Diddy said, what up? Cassie said, I asked him to drive around and we will hit him when we want him to come up. Okay. Teamwork makes the freak off dream work. The government attorney says, I'm a bit more sexually. Well, I think Cassie. I think she's reading for Cassie, right? Or was she reading for? I can't remember anymore. She says, I am a bit more sexually excited than last time. Dress casually and bring baby oil. Cassie said, casual, yes. Baby oil, no. Johnny says, on my way to La Mertige. Cassie says, do you mind driving around until I tell you? And that's when they took a break. And the judge says, let me see the counsel at the sidebar. They had a little sidebar. Jurors, you may leave for the day. All rise. They left early. I think it was around like 3 o'clock. I was really surprised. They had been going to damn near 5 or after 5 for like the last week. So I guess they deserve to leave early today. They said that this same agent, the special agent, will be back on tomorrow, and then they're going to have uh Brendan Paul, which is the drug dealer, and then they're going to have who else did they say? Another witness. I can't remember what type of witness it was, but they got two more people, and then I guess it's going to go over to the defense. And the defense, they said, got like three people that they want to put on the stand. So two more from the prosecutors and then three from the defense. So that's what we got to look forward to. So it sounds like maybe a week to 2 weeks left. They said they should be done by July 4th. It is June 16th. So I think they are right on track. But the judge says, jurors, you may leave. Have a nice day. The defense expert will be Dr. Alexander Barday. That's who's going to be testifying after the prosecution rests. And Dr. Alexander Barday, they said, covered him on Dr. Haddon and other cases. So jury is adjourned. Now, as far as like, I'm gonna drop the link just in case anybody wants to get on here. I know Sislo said she wanted to jump up here, but if anybody else wants to get up here, I'll also drop the link as well. So let me do that first before I get to talking and forget. Okay. Okay, let me check my text messages. Somebody text me. Okay. So I just text Sislo just in case she's not in the chat because I know she wanted to jump on the panel. So there's the link if anybody wants to jump on. But what I was going to say is just to remind everybody, the federal charges against Diddy, Sean D. Diddy, Puffy Combs, Mr. Love, count 1, racketeering conspiracy, section 18 USC 1962D. They allege Diddy led the Combs enterprise using his business empire with social, corporate, and personal staff resources to facilitate and conceal a pattern of criminal activity, including kidnapping, arson, bribery of witnesses, witness tampering or witness obstruction, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, and drug distribution. Those are the charges in the indictment. So he was doing a lot of, right? He was doing a lot of, and I still, like some people, I'm like, how did he have time to run his business, to make music, to seek out artists, to have these reality shows, to have, I mean, when you doing free calls 3 to 4 business days a week for 9 to 24 hours each day. I mean, recording all this sex, engaged in all this freaky, sticky, crazy ass, baby oil, slippery ass, Astroglide ass sex. That's a lot of sex. But we now know, why they use so much Astroglide. Because Astroglide is a lube. And it keeps you lube, I suppose. But not lube enough. Because the women who were engaging in these free calls, they said a lot how their cuckoo would be hurting, their cuckoo would be sore. Cassie described how she couldn't get rid of the UTIs that she had because the medicine stopped working. The prescription from the doctors wouldn't work anymore because she was having so much sex. Her cuckoo was injured, and it's like the Vaseline. I mean, the that was for the Astroglide was for, because as a woman, we know. And what's up, Deanna? Hey, boo. Hey, Sugar Wooger. And hey, Big Riz. What's up? How you doing? Sugar Mama said, what mess did he to get the RICO is using? Yes, using his company. He had all those millions of dollars. He could pay off every prostitute around the world and still be rich. He was using his money to pay for drugs, to pay for prostitutes, to fly people out, get hotels, Not we ain't even counting all the bottles of baby oil that he bought every day and all the drugs they went through every single day. They went through a lot of drugs. Diddy kept them drugs up. And Brendan Paul is going to be on the stand next, and I'm sure he's going to ask for immunity because of the fact he's one of the main drug dealers who supplied, they call him Diddy's drug mule. That's what they called him. Diddy's drug mule. I don't know if he's actually the drugs mule. I know he got caught trying to bring drugs, when he got caught and arrested at the airport. But I don't know if he was actually his drug mule or he was just at that time trying to get away. I don't know. But I do know that he has serviced Diddy, delivered drugs, distributed, whatever you want to call it, to Diddy and other people who work for him. But yeah, as far as these free calls, again, I don't know how the fuck he had time to do all that shit. But back to this lube. Okay, so women, as we know, we naturally get, where we need to be. Just touch us a little bit. Some of us get there faster. Some women get there for you just blow on that bitch neck and she be like, whoo, it's all hot and steamy and percolating already. But when you're having so much sex, a woman's insides can tire out. And it has nothing to do with our womanhood. But if you have so much sex, the moisture doesn't be that moist anymore. And so that's what the lube is for. Because when you're having that much sex every day, all day, not with just one man, but after they would fuck 2, 3, 4 prostitutes, then they would have to fuck Diddy too. So they would end the night with him unless he left, because a lot of times he would bounce out after he got his shit off and sat in the corner and jacked his shit off and stroked his nut out. Then he would just record them and shit after the prostitutes left while the female in the shower getting cleaned up or trying to recover from all the sex and all the drugs. He talking about, I got to go see my kids. I got to go see my mama. I got a meeting. I got to go home. He would lead the women there and they'd be like, but I thought you were going to be next. I thought we were going to have our time after them. We'll do that another time. So it's child. It's a lot. It's a lot. But that's a lot. When they raided his home, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And then I find out through the court that every night they went through like 24 bottles of baby oil. 24